And welcome back to the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Premier Lending. I'm Devin Dubuque.
And I'm Coach Rick Koenig.
And we are back again just to, entertain. We're here to, make you guys laugh and have a great time. And at the same time, maybe build an incredible mortgage business. And, talking about building businesses, we had a little convo in the dream room, as we talked about last week. Coach, what's the topic today?
And the topic today is building your bench.
Building your bench.
Yeah,
I like
basketball season, baseball just started. We got people going on to the injured reserve list. We got people breaking their arms, at least up here in Cincinnati with our baseball team. You got the NBA playoffs, you got injuries, and you got to be able to bring somebody up from the bench to take action in those situations, and the mortgage business is no different.
You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. And, crazy as it is, sometimes you might even want to take a vacation, and that can be difficult to do if you don't have somebody back there on the bench that you can call in from time to time for a little extra support, right?
Yep. We're lucky that we're at a company that's actually growing and volume's going up. I'm sure it's going up at some of the best companies out there. But when you're doing a combination of your loan officers are starting to increase their volume and you're doing some hiring, you're going to get stretched and you're going to be at that point where you need processors. And just a PSA, I am looking for bilingual Spanish-speaking processors.
Yeah,
I'm also looking for underwriters right now because we're in that boat. We have some people on our bench, but sometimes when you got that bench, you got to keep it replenished all the time. So what I want to talk about is, first we'll talk about underwriters. Over the years, underwriters became very expensive during the boom time. So, like 2021, people were paying sometimes double what they would normally pay to an underwriter as a bonus and to get them going. Yeah, they were cashing in. The problem is a lot of those underwriters, as soon as things slowed down, they were getting cut first too,
Yeah, that's true.
It wasn't always, last hired, first fired. It was the biggest paycheck got cut off.
Well, you know what they say.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah, if you ain't first, you're last. That's right. So, there's some really great employees out there still, because there are companies that still didn't cut back enough over the last 4 years. And can you believe it's been 4 years?
I know it's flown by, but at the end of the day, it's flown by, but it's also helped us all grow. And as we always like to say, it's allowed us to see where we're swimming naked, and it never feels good to see the water wash up and go, oh, whoops, didn't mean to expose that, right? But that's where a lot of us are in our business. And, one thing you talk about building the bench, Coach, I do want to bring this up too. Think about it like this, right? If you are, because you use the sports analogy, right? If you're an MLB team or you're a NFL team or fill in the blank, right? NBA, NHL, you pick your poison. At the end of the day, are you waiting to replace your quarterback or your pitcher or your point guard, right? Until he's injured or she's injured, right? Or are you scouting out talent ahead of the curve, to make sure that when you need that extra person, they're already back there on the bench. They know the plays, they know the team, they know how to do business, right? And that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I think there's, when you're running an operation, I think there's 3 or 4 main positions that you need to always be interviewing. You should literally never stop interviewing, even if you're not hiring. You need to make it a practice that throughout the month, maybe you have a couple of days where all you do is, kind of like what we teach, calling your old database or calling your past clients or your pre-approved and looking people.
Yep.
Have that list of underwriters, processors, closers, and the new one is I think you need to have licensed loan officer assistants on the bench.
Yeah, call them what you want, right? LOAs, PSPs, PASs, right? Doesn't matter. You need to have somebody back there that can help with the heavy lifting, because if your business picks up and you don't have the support, what typically happens?
Well, it typically happens is, and we've experienced it at companies we've been at over the years. All of a sudden, all your underwriters are working overtime. They're getting bonuses to do some stuff on the weekends. And, although that's good for them, but you can't do that forever. And so if you have some people on the bench, and the way those interviews typically go, let's just say you're talking to underwriters. Now, an underwriter who's out of work is looking for a job right now. It might not be available 3 months from now. Could be, but probably wouldn't be. But those underwriters could also have taken a job, even outside the industry, because they need a job. They want a paycheck. That $750 a month or a week or whatever unemployment isn't enough to live on. And so
That's right.
they want a job right away. But it's good to call them. So if you have a group of resumes you receive from people that are out of work, but you also have resumes for people that have worked and had applied and gotten jobs, it's good to go back to them. And it's just good to say, hey, look, man, here's where we're at. We don't have any room for you right now, but if I give you a call with everything you've heard, would you consider making a move from where you're at to come over here to something way more steady? And probably 7 out of 10 times they'll go, yeah, I really like everything you told me about the company. I like the virtual office setup that you guys have, and yeah, I think I'd be willing to leave where I'm at to come over there. And
Yeah, well,
and it's not always a money thing. It's just the fact that they really liked talking to us and said, man, you guys are just nice people.
yeah. Well, it's really important to make sure that, you have those buttons that you can press, right? That one touch button. And hey, I've got this person right here. It's almost like being a genie, right? It's like poof, and they're right there waiting for you because you've been staying in touch and you've been having the conversations. They know who you are and what you're about, and they want to be a part of that team, but they also know you're not ready. Another thing I like to point out is maybe you don't even want to go to people you don't know. Maybe you want to look for people that are within your network. And what I've found, Coach, is that going to my network a lot of the times is going to get me more qualified, better people that are actually going to do the job well. So, for instance, just yesterday, we had a situation come up where we want another processor on the bench. We want somebody right now, right? So, what do? We go out, we post it on social. That's great. We put out our ads. That's great. But what else we do is we DM everybody else that we know in the business that we know, like, and trust. And we put it out there and say, hey, guys, I'm looking for this role. Who knows somebody? And guess what? Miraculously, all of a sudden, names start popping up, phone numbers start popping up, and you get somebody that you can bring onto the team that is qualified for the role. It's not somebody just looking for a job. It's somebody that we know is going to do the job and do it well because it's coming from our other business professional friends that we know, like, and trust in this industry. So if you don't already have that roster of people that you can call upon and you need to build somebody and build them quick, lean into your network, right? That's what our spheres are for. We lean into our sphere for, finding new business, but we lean in our spheres for finding great people and great talent that are out there that can complement our business.
I agree. I'd much rather find out from a loan officer, a processor, or an underwriter that, hey, I worked with this person and they're spectacular.
Yeah.
Not only are they really good at what they do, they're absolutely a great person. And for our motto, Premier Cares, we really want that person that cares about what they're doing, for the company and for the people that they're working for. And so if you can have, and I'm going to tell you from experience, it's never enough that you have on the bench, because when the call comes, hey, we need one right now, you give those 4 that you talk to a call, 3 of them got jobs someplace else, and they don't know that they want to make another switch, and the one, was possibly the one you didn't want, they've left the industry.
They were last on the bench.
Yeah, they were last on the bench for right now. Your mind changes on what you want, but when your own team recommends somebody, that's the best thing. Because for me as a recruiter, if I pick up the phone and I call you up and I say, Devin, your buddy Raphael said, hey, give Devin a call, man, he's the man.
That's it.
And I call you up and I said, hey, Devin, Raphael told me you're the man. You got a few minutes for me? What are you going to say? No, screw you, Raphael.
Well, unless I hate Raphael, and I don't. But, if I did, be like, you know what? I don't want to talk to you, right? No, but, if you're working with great qualified people and they give a referral, that's golden, right? We talk about this all the time. When you're out there trying to reach out to people in the database and make new connections on your mortgage side of the business, the warm referrals are always the best way, right? We always talk about, talk to your title companies. Hey, I love working with you and your team. What other agents should I connect with? Now, all of a sudden, your favorite title company rep, Tom Smith, gives you an agent, you call up and it's, hey, Tom told me that I should call you, right? And that's typically going to be more well received. Now, I heard something the other day I like too, and this was really smart. Allison Larson, I'll give her a shout out, was on the Redder Morning Show, and she said, hey, let me ask you a question. I'm looking for, a great person, and in your case, you said Raphael. Raphael told me that, you're at the top of the game. Hey, but quick question for you. Knowing Raphael, does that hurt me or help me?
Yeah, that was great. I heard Allison say that the other morning.
Yeah. It's what's great, man, because it lightheartens the moment, and it allows them to give you an honest answer.
Yeah, and it builds. It's comical, but it could be serious. And it's like, oh no, because I've had somebody say, well, if they gave you my name, I don't want to talk to you.
Well, at least they gave you an answer, Coach. They could have just clicked the receiver.
Yeah.
Click.
So I tell you what's the big thing. You and I are very blessed to have made friends throughout this entire industry.
Yeah.
Numerous companies, numerous cities, states, and everything. And I don't know how many different text chains you're involved in, but sometimes when the morning show's on with Scotty Hudspeth and you're on there and I'm on there and a lot of our friends are on there. There's a text going around. There might be two of them. I got one that there's 17 of us. I got another one that there's like 9 of us. Just think about those text chains right now.
That's your network.
Yesterday, hey, looking for a bilingual processor, and had a couple, hey, so am I.
I got one of those too.
Hey, wait a minute, I asked the group first.
Who do you like better?
Yeah, whoever likes better. But building your bench, the reason the bench gets depleted and you don't have somebody when you need it is you get that 3 or 4 or even 2 or even 1, and then you stop. And 3 months later, you haven't contacted them, you haven't updated them, and they've either lost interest or they found something else. And you literally have to be interviewing for those type of positions on a monthly basis. If you're recruiting all the time like I am, that's great. But I have to take, 3 or 4 days to do nothing but contact additional underwriters, contact additional processors, market for them. Turn the spigot on. We like to use Wise Hire. Anybody out there, I know you can look on LinkedIn and you can look on other places, but we get the ones from Wise Hire. You get a resume, you get their disc test. So, those of you that are familiar with the disc test, I actually got certified in that a few years ago when I was coaching. So I know how to read that disc test, and they're very efficient, and they actually tell you a lot.
It gives you a little bit about the personality and their mentality and how they do
how to
things.
manage them, how to manage them, or even how to hire them. What might be the good thing to hire them?
The hot buttons.
If we're wrapping up here, what I would tell anybody is work on the bench, whether you need it or not. As you're growing, always be interviewing. Never turn down an interview with somebody that sends you a resume or something in the mail. You just never know when it's going to pay off, because you call that person back, you're nice to them, they get a job, and you call them 3 months from now and they say, oh, Rick, I'm already working for somebody, and guess what, who they know? They know Joan.
They got another connection.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's the connections. So keep the connections, build the bench, and have the team ready to run on the field all the time.
We'll build the bench. And, with us leading off on that, I'm going to say two things. Number one, I got to go too, because I just got a text from one of those circles we talked about from the processor that we're looking at bringing on board. So I got to reach out to her and have that meeting. But at the same time, it's so funny how that works. Timing is everything. At the same time, since we're talking about building the bench, let's talk about why to build that bench. Like, what are we building with that bench, right? And I think more importantly, let's talk on the loan officer side. What does your bench look like when you start to produce more in business? Who do you hire? What does that person do? And how do you accelerate your business by leaning into somebody else to provide that support? So I think, how do you use your pre-approval specialist or your loan officer assistant to the best of your ability to gain traction in your business and take it to that next level? So we're going to cover that next week on the Coach's Corner. But for today, guys, I think that's a wrap. So thank you for joining in, as always. And hey, thanks to our sponsors, Premier Lending, for letting us host this thing. If you love the content, make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the channel, send it to 16 friends. They say to ask for 3. I want 16. Send it to 16 friends. I want to see those DMs going crazy. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Devin Dubuque.
I'm Coach Rick.
And we're out.